This is the regular meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners, March 26, 2020. We're going to go ahead and get started today. As you can see, we are very spread out here on the dais, trying to be respectful of social distancing and try to keep everyone safe. Lisa Daria has joined us, to the clerk to the board today. Thank you, Lisa, for stepping in. Victoria Parks is to my right, and to my left is the Vice President of the Commission, Stephanie Summerow-Dumas. Michael Friedman, our legal counsel, is in the room, as well as County Administrator Jeff Aludo and a couple others here helping us out as we try to do these meetings in a safe way. So we generally start these meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance and silent prayer. I don't see the flag, so we're going to we'll just turn to where the flag normally is. How about that? But I do want to recognize that we lost a police officer over the weekend. Kaya Grant was a police officer in Springdale, and so we are going to do some recognition for her service after we do the pledge. But I do want to have everyone stand, and the moment of silence will be in recognition of her service to the community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. So, you know, this was a huge loss for Springdale, Ohio. I've been in touch with the police chief and the mayor. And, you know, it's a relatively small police force, and they all know each other well, and, you know, they're just devastated by the loss of Officer Grant. And so we are going to do a proclamation, and we'll have it signed by all three county commissioners. We also have a flag that we are going to deliver. It's a county flag. They have asked that we drop it off within the next couple of days, so they have it in time for the services. But in this time, as you can imagine, the number of attendees are going to be very limited. And so out of respect for the family and Officer Grant's colleagues, we are going to, you know, kind of step away from that and not obviously participate in some of the more private ceremonies. But I will provide more information related to what's going to happen on Sunday by way of the public participation, so that both commissioners have that information. But in the meantime, I will deliver this in person on behalf of the board. So Commissioner Parks' office was kind enough to put this together. So Victoria, could you please read the proclamation?
Certainly. This is a memorial proclamation in honor of Springdale Police Officer Kaya Grant. Whereas police officers are beloved members of our community, selflessly sacrificing their safety and security in the protection of lives and properties. And whereas the Springdale Police Department tragically lost a valued member of its department, Police Officer Kaya Grant, on Saturday, March 21st, 2020. And whereas Police Officer Kaya Grant made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty while courageously fulfilling her duty to protect and serve. And whereas Police Officer Grant graduated from the College of William and Mary and returned home and began an after-school program for at-risk youth. And whereas Police Officer Grant joined the Springdale Police Department in 2012 after having graduated from the Ohio State Highway Patrol Academy. And whereas each and every day, Police Officer Kaya Grant's service to our community stood as a testament to the values of faith, service to others, and self-sacrifice. Now, Therefore, be it resolved that we call upon all citizens to honor, remember, and to hold in highest regard Police Officer Kaya Grant and her family, and for all citizens to hold Police Officer Kaya Grant and her family in thought and prayer, and with deepest condolences as we come together as one community, with respect, admiration, and with our grateful thanks for her selfless sacrifice on behalf of the citizens of Springdale in Hamilton County. Adopted this 26th day of March 2020 by unanimous order of the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any comments?
What a tragedy, of course. They're our neighbors. I live in the Forest Park area and have had much interaction with Springdale Police, not, of course, Ms. Officer Grant, but I'm glad that we were recognizing that tragedy and that we will send the proclamation and also a county flag.
Thank you.
That's all I
Any
have.
further comments? Okay. So thank you. Yeah, our deepest condolences to the family, to the community of Springdale. It's just, I know it's a huge loss in a very challenging time, so we will make sure that they get our condolences. Beyond that, we are not joined today by the Health Commissioner. He offered to come. He's extremely busy, and I told him that I would read a statement from him in lieu of him being here in person. And so I will read that. We've been trying to keep folks up to date by way of daily briefings as to what's happening in Hamilton County, the information that people seem to want to know. I mean, I know that your offices as well as mine are getting a lot of questions about, what's happening for seniors, what's happening for capacity for hospitals, what should people be doing? And so we've been trying to push out that information. And so Greg has been unbelievably helpful, and remember, he's fairly new to his role, and so I'm very grateful for his expertise and his professionalism. He and his team are working 24/7 trying to respond to the coronavirus situation in our community. And so I can just tell you top line that what the Commissioner has been saying is pay attention to what's happening at the state level. Through the Commissioner of Health, we are taking our cues from the state. So both the Governor and the Health Commissioner, Tracy Acton, have been hosting daily press conferences, and so we're trying to keep in the loop. We are, as you know, right now under a stay-at-home order. We posted that on the county website to make it as accessible as possible. It's pretty clear-cut as to who is an essential business and who is not. So if there is any confusion about whether or not people should be open or not, you can refer to that. If there are ongoing questions about that, Greg Kesterman, our Commissioner of Health, is really the ultimate authority in our community, and so he is available for questions, and if there remains confusion from either the employer side or the employee side, he is available for that phone call, and his team will go out and investigate. And I'm trying to see if I have that number, and I do. So if there are any questions, the Health Department phone number relative to this is 946-7847. 946-7847. So if there are business owners or employees that are still unsure about whether or not they should be staying at home, please reach out to the Health Commissioner, and he'd be happy to provide that information. Also, our cases are rising every day. As you know, we have, as of this morning, 48 positive cases of COVID-19 in Hamilton County. 5 of those individuals are hospitalized, and we have 0 deaths. And so those are the numbers. I will tell you that as you look at these numbers day by day, it is obvious that we are starting to move up the curve. And the whole idea about hand washing, about social distancing, about staying at home is to reduce the trajectory of the curve, to flatten it out, so that those that get sick and need medical attention, so this community has the capacity to respond. And the question is, how much capacity will we need? And what we can do to tamp that down is all of the things that have been recommended by the health commissioner. So the stay-at-home order, the social distancing, the hand washing, are all extremely important when we're trying to tamp down that curve, but we are clearly heading up. And so I just want to caution people. I know there are folks that are already a little fatigued in the community, but it is so important that we all play our part and do what we need to do to not spread this virus. And so Greg, I think, when he sent me his comments, was looking out the window because they're relative to nice weather, and I think today is the first day we've had in a while of nice weather. And so I think he's especially concerned about people being outside. So I'm going to read his comments. So he says, please encourage businesses to follow the stay-at-home order that I just referenced. Also encourage families and households when playing outside on these beautiful days not to allow kids to hang out with other families because they cause the spread. And so, I know we're all interacting with individuals that are in our families, but as soon as one person moves outside that circle and is in contact with someone else, then we've got potential spread. And so we're trying to, again, reduce the spread. And so that is the message for the day from the Health Commissioner. Greg, we thank you for your service. I know you are tuning in, as well as Nick Crosley, who is the head of the Emergency Management Agency for Hamilton County. Nick is the one that is trying to coordinate supplies. We put out the call for PPE supplies. He's coordinating some of that. He's just trying to get everybody on the same page. And so, Nick, I don't know if you're tuning in, but thank you also for your efforts and for your service. They both have been here at our request, and I'm happy to bring them in if need be, but I thought it was more important that they stay out in the field and do what they're doing. So thank you both for your service and for your help for Hamilton County. Beyond that, if you need any information related to the coronavirus and some of the responses of the county, we've been trying to keep people up to date. The county itself has taken a lot of action. This building right now is closed to the public. Our services are still available, primarily online and by phone, but the building is closed for the safety of the public and for the employees that work in this building. And so I do want to note that there is one window in this building that is public facing, and so if someone needs literally a document, maybe it's oversized or it's a planning document or something, they can call in to, say, planning and development, and they will take that document down to that window and deliver the document to the person that needs it. So we are still open to a certain extent, but it is, relegated to what we really need to do by way of the forward-facing nature of the business. But the auditor, the treasurer, the recorder all have services online and all are available to work with constituents online. So we don't want to impede business, so we're trying to be as smart about it and as strategic about it as we can. And there are many, many other things that we are doing as a county. Our jail size is, our population there is being reduced dramatically. The sheriff is trying to keep a person per cell to make sure that people are safely distanced from one another. If the jail's overcrowded, you can't do that. And so I don't have the count for today, but the jail population has been dramatically reduced. Obviously there are very low-level offenders, nonviolent offenders that are being released from the jail right now in cooperation with the courts. And so it's a partnership. So we're grateful for that work. I could go on, and I'm not going to because I think we're trying to cover some of this in the daily briefings, but there is a lot going on, and so we are trying to play our part with our partners at the state, the federal, the city levels of government, and with all the constituents throughout the county. So thank you again to everyone who is making significant sacrifice to follow the orders and do what's best for the community to try to keep everybody safe. Does anybody have any comments or questions related to the COVID-19 situation?
Certainly, Madam President, thank you. Just a couple comments. Just very proud of what the county has done so far. Of course, we know we can always do more. And I commit, and I'm sure the rest of the commissioners also commit to continue to provide resources, no matter what those resources are, without a lot of unnecessary red tape. I am responsible and very proud of being accountable to all our residents in Hamilton County. Specifically, as most of you know, children are very close to my priority, and it looks like we're doing what we need to do to feed our children. Of course, we can do more. Seniors are also very important to me, and I heard Suzanne Burke talk this morning, and they are doing lots for the seniors. Of course, we could always do more. But another area that's very important to me is the homeless population and what we're doing for them as it relates to even just making sure that they're well physically, but also that their needs are being met. I got some statistics off of the computer from Strategies to End Homelessness, and this is their 2018 statistics. The homeless adults are 5,230. Children is 1,784 for a total of 7,036 people as of 2018. The 19 will be coming out that are homeless currently. Now, I'm aware that the city is working on trying to house some of the homeless to make sure that they are being isolated, the ones that need to be isolated, and also making sure that they get their needs met. I am asking specifically what Strategies to End Homelessness is doing for our homeless population in the county, and I'm asking that we should do more. The only thing I've heard about is Maslow's Army doing some of the work with the homeless, but that's their own entity, their own agency, their own nonprofit, and we should not look to them to take care of the problems in the county. So I'm asking the commission and the county to give me a report on what we're doing currently. If Jeff could do that, our administrator, that would be great, and what areas that we have gaps, because that's a large number that may be just out on the street and possibly infecting each other or other people. So that will end my comments.
Thank you. Jeff, I know that some work has been done related to the homeless population. We can obviously do a written, would you mind getting up and giving us just a brief verbal update on where we stand?
Thank you, Commissioners. So we are having conversations continually with Strategies to End Homelessness and some others that are working on the homeless situation. And we know that there's been a lot done down in the city of Cincinnati as it relates to the development of some triage and quarantine centers through some of the recreation centers down there to ensure that if there are representative or members of the homeless population that present for COVID-19, that they are able to be treated effectively, and that we prevent the spread of the virus through the population. We're also talking with others in the community about some additional ways to thin the population within the shelters to make sure that we need some places for them to go, and we're looking at some options for that as well to make sure that we don't have people congregating in shelters in an unsafe way to the degree that the shelters can't self-distance themselves. So we are looking at options in that regard. I'm not prepared at this point to say that we have a solution yet, but we are working on that right now, and be happy to report back to the board as soon as we have something more solid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks.
I will commend our workforce for those in the county that are still working to keep this show on the road. They're making sacrifices, working from home. Many of them have children, and, as parents, the things that people go through. But because we have services to provide, Hamilton County just does not shut down. We keep it going, and I'm would just like to recognize those that are working so hard. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Speaking of which, Robert Bell is going to join us virtually? On the phone. Oh, on the phone. Okay. So we are ready for that. So we're still adjusting, by the way, to the virtual nature of the business that we're doing. We are not calling folks in unnecessarily. So 2 minutes. 2 minutes, very good. Well, all right, I can just give some information, I suppose. Let me offer a little bit of a precursor as to. So Robert Bell is the director of economic inclusion here at the county. He was hired a few years ago. It was a very high priority of the county commission, and so we also at that time created an inclusion council, and we're very deliberate about making sure that that group was as diverse as possible, by way of gender, by way of race, and by way of ability. And I want to note that Commissioner Portune was very careful to make sure that someone who represented people with disabilities was included on the council. We also made sure that women's groups were included, as well as the African American Chamber, the Chinese Chamber, the Indian Chamber, and labor and the private sector. So again, it's a fairly large council, but we were very deliberate about the nature of inclusion with the group, because we wanted to get a diversity of thought and the best ideas in the room. And so Robert Bell has been doing the work on behalf of the Commission and the Inclusion Council, and is ready to make a presentation. We didn't want to delay it too long, because I think they're really important recommendations that the board will need to contemplate and maybe move on, will be driven to action here. And so I didn't want to delay too long. And so, because we really don't know how long we will be in a position to not have folks entering the building because of the coronavirus. So we've asked Robert to join us virtually, along with Bernice Walker. Bernice is the chairperson for the Inclusion Council, and will lend some important perspective, I think, to the recommendations. And so I don't know if that was 2 minutes or not. Yeah. Oh, see, that's something. All right, so we are going to be joined by Robert Bell via phone. Alex, tell me if we're there. Are you there, Robert? Okay.
And Andre are here too.
All right, hold on. We're trying to mic you up. You got it? Robert?
Yes.
There we go. Okay, we can hear you well. Thank you for
Okay.
joining us virtually. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to your report.
But Bridget, let me see if Bernice is on too. Is Bernice on?
Yes, I'm here, Robert.
Okay.
Welcome,
Bernice is
Bernice.
on. Can you hear Bernice too?
Yes,
Okay. All right. So are we ready?
we are.
Okay, Bernice, we're ready.
Okay, yes. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing us to present to you this afternoon. Again, I'm Bernice Walker. I am the chairperson of the Hamilton County Economic Inclusion Advisory Council, and I'll refer that as council throughout, because that's a long name. Again, I'm the chairperson. Andre Ward, I believe, is still on the line. I know he has another call at 1:30. He's the vice chairperson of the council.
Welcome, Andre.
Okay.
Good
And the
afternoon, all. I am here.
Okay. Thank you, Andre. It's a 15-member council that was established in 2017 to promote inclusion in Hamilton County procurement and employment practices. The members of the council serve on at least one of three committees: procurement, workforce, and outreach communications. And we analyze information and develop recommendations to the council, the Office of Economic Development, County Administration, and to you, the Board of County Commissioners. So we have several recommendations to help. We have made several recommendations to help ensure inclusion and diversity that have already been adopted. And Robert will discuss some of those items, but also present two new policy recommendations that we have developed in regard to business opportunity and workforce-related operations. So, Robert, you're up.
Okay. And thanks, Andre and Bernice, for being on. Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity. Again, we have two policies, small business enterprise is one, and then equal employment opportunities is the second one. But both of these additional policies are to give further guidance to the BOCC department heads and staff and the actions they're taking to help improve inclusion in Hamilton County. So I'll start off with the small business enterprise. And Bridget, that's slide 2.
We're there.
Okay. And the whole goal of small business enterprise is to promote economic development to local businesses and residents, but also to promote full and equal business opportunities for all persons wanting to do business with Hamilton County as a whole. And then slide 3.
We're there.
Okay, and just as background, and I can't say enough about the contributions of the Economic Inclusion Advisory Council, and I'm not going to get into a lot of that, except they have been crucial in some previous recommendations that we have brought before the Hamilton County. One in 2018, which is the contract economic inclusion policy that goes into all the contracts of Hamilton County, and that was in 2018. In 2019, they worked on the Economic Inclusion Workforce Development Initiative policy for Hamilton County construction contracts. And then in 2019, we did an administrative recommendation for the Equal Business Opportunity Dashboard. And these are some of the 3 major ones that we've done so far. And I want to go to slide 4, just to give you an example of the Equal Opportunity Dashboard that we implemented. We piloted in 2019, and we'll be rolling it out with your approval in 2020. And this is a dashboard for each of the major BOCC departments with the goal of increasing participation of small and diverse vendors providing quotes. Because the first thing we have to do is make sure that small and diverse vendors really are able to participate in the economic opportunities that Hamilton County provides. And that's going to be through quotes and bids and proposals that they submit. Each department will have the same metric. What we will be doing is looking at the percentage of SBEs, MBEs, and WBEs submitting quotes out of total quotes they receive for targeted services, and the percentage of these same groups out of the total amount awarded of these contracts. And we'll be keeping measurement of those just to see how well we are increasing the participation of these small and diverse companies. The activities column is going to be different for each department, because each department is kind of unique in its own on the type of services it does, that it needs, the type of things they're looking for, and the availability of small, diverse, and small and diverse businesses who can fulfill those needs. And that will kind of differ per department based on what's needed by the department. And then that's slide 4, and then slide 5. And these are just highlights of our policy recommendations. Hamilton County has an overall aspirational goal for SBE of 30% for construction, 15% for supplies, and 15% for professional services. Individual goals will be determined on a case-by-case basis based on type of services needed and the availability of small and diverse companies, contractors that can do the work. And the county has had SBE goals in the past, and they were pretty similar to this, but we really want to reinvigorate that and have a specific policy that would give that overall aspirational goal, and we would be able to promote it organizational-wide. The second one, the highlight, is when soliciting for micro purchases, whenever possible, first effort should be made to find vendors from the bold vendors list. We've put a lot of effort the last year and a half to put the bold vendors list together, and the good part of it is that we're able to identify on that list who are the small, minority, and women-owned businesses, veteran businesses, disability-served businesses that are on that list, so that people know who they're choosing, so that we can make sure we have a diverse selection as much as possible. And those are things that we will be monitoring as part of these new policies. Then third, when soliciting quotes for small purchases whenever possible, at least one vendor from the bold contractors list shall be among the quotes requested. And again, the more opportunities we give people to quote and bid, the greater their chances of being awarded a contract. Again, we're not giving things away. We're not setting things aside. We just want to make sure that the small and diverse businesses have a good opportunity to compete along with everyone else. The other highlight is single source spending requests shall be submitted to and approved by the purchasing department before solicitations begin, and copies of approval should be forwarded to the Economic Inclusion Department. And I'm not going to get way into that because I think we've had this discussion with the council, with the commissioners before about what we have to do is determine what's total spending versus what's addressable spending. And addressable spending are those spendings that are not sole source and single source or proprietary, but are open for more, diverse. There's a lot of diverse companies and more companies that can compete for that, and we call that addressable spend. And that's called addressable spend in the industry. So that's a quick overview of the small business enterprise policies. It's not all of them, but I just wanted to hit some of the highlights. And so next is the equal employment opportunities policy. And again, the purpose, as I said before, similar to the small business, is for this one is to create a workplace environment that is inclusive and to recruit, retain, and support a workforce that reflects the population served and the diversity of Hamilton County. And we just really are looking to do that, even more better than we're doing now. And in some areas we're doing it very well, but we really want to make sure it's consistent from department to department, because of through the efforts that are being made. Again, the Economic Inclusion Advisory Council and the Department of Economic Inclusion did a lot of research around and benchmarking and looking at data from Hamilton County over the last couple of years. We reviewed the 2016-2018 Hamilton County hiring data. We reviewed position changes and type of change data that was provided by HR. We looked at demographics reports from 2018 through 2019. And we reviewed demographic data by department, by pay grade. And then we also developed in 2019 another dashboard for equal employment opportunities. And so let's go to slide 8. And this slide is, again, a dashboard where it sets up what the department goals, which are really, they're all the same for the departments. But the metrics are going to be the number of diverse candidates being recruited and interviewed, and the number of diverse, and the percentage of diverse candidates being recruited and interviewed, and the percentage of diverse candidates hired. And again, it's a way for us to keep track of how well are we doing with and Jeff and I call widening the net as far as trying to, make sure we touch sensitive parts of the community and and are able to look at diverse group of recruitment on an ongoing basis. And each department is going to have put together plans on how they're going to achieve that. And we'll be doing the same thing with the small business dashboard as well. And I'll be working with them. If you approve this, the recommendations, I will be working with them in order to help them achieve some good plans and activities, and then help them monitor how we're doing. Slide 9 is the equal employment opportunity, some recommendation highlights from that. One of the big things we thought we needed to do, and this might have been done years ago in Hamilton County, but to establish an employee climate and engagement survey that will be done every 2 to 3 years. We thought that the Economic Inclusion Council came to the council to a recommendation of our workforce committee, and they thought it was very important to really be able to gauge just the client attitude, the employee climate here at Hamilton County, just so we'll know what kind of strategies should we be putting in place. The second one is develop policies and guidelines and tools to support recruitment and retention that reflects the community that is served. And again, that's part of what we're doing with the equal employment dashboard. And also develop a set of routine metrics for measuring and monitoring the impact. Again, that's part of the dashboard. And the effectiveness of Hamilton County diversity and inclusion strategies. Now I have to say that HR has already moved forward with a lot of these things. They have put together a talent management plan. They have a new hiring process plan. And they I think, they plan to do a lot of this themselves, but it really fits into the recommendations that we have come up with, and they're a little bit ahead of the curve right now. And the last one is HR in consultation with the county administrator or his or her designee will monitor complaints and ensure the county's zero tolerance policy regarding discrimination, bias, or harassment toward any group. We wanted to make sure that we had some kind of official plan in order to really monitor that and to respond to any deviations from what our policy is around those areas. That's really our overview. Bernice or Andre, did you want to add anything before we go to questions? Are we good?
No, you did a good job, Robert. Thank you. And Andre has signed off. He does appreciate us having an audience with you, Commission. But I have nothing else but prepared for any questions you might have. Thank you.
So Commissioners, thanks for giving us some minutes, some time to do this. And are there any questions?
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Bernice, also. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and Bernice, especially in the volunteer capacity that you're providing for being the chair of the Inclusion Council. It's so important to us, and we're really grateful for your service in doing that. I just have one question. So thank you for the recommendations. They all look like, really great recommendations. I like the direction we're heading in. At what point might we see something more formal that we can act upon if we need to? I don't even know if there will be actionable items, Robert, or if some of these things are administrative, wherein the administrator, with the direction of the commission, can simply put some of these things in place without any kind of formal action of the commission.
Okay. We'll still be working on that. But part of it has to do with how well we begin to implement some of these things. And we, I think, and Bernice chime in, I think the Economic Inclusion Advisory Council will continually look at what strategies and tactics do we need to have in place to continue to move toward the goal that we want, that economic inclusion becomes a natural way of doing business with Hamilton County.
Right.
And so we know that we're going to need to have be proposing continual guidance to you guys so that staff can have help in their efforts to achieve that. That's pretty much, I think, where we're at. Bernice, what do you say?
Right. So, yes. So today is the adoption of these two new policies, one for small business enterprise and the other for the equal employment opportunities. And we will be providing periodic updates in terms of the status, how we're progressing toward the goals that are being established with the adoption of these policies.
Right.
Thank you.
And I think we will have additional recommendations based on the results we're getting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Comments and questions?
Thank you, Madam President. You asked a question that I wanted to know if we had to take any action as a commissioner. So I also wanted to thank both of you for your hard work and also your continued commitment to inclusion.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks.
Robert, thank you so much for your hard work and for this report. You too, Bernice. I really appreciate the dedication and the hard work that your council puts in order to make Hamilton County what we all hope for it to be one day. So thank you for your work.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah.
And I'm waiting. I'm trying not to overlap with Robert. So thank you all. We appreciate the opportunity to serve, and all of the members of the committee are very committed to this effort in terms of inclusion and diversity for Hamilton County. So we appreciate the opportunity to serve, and I'm glad you appreciate our service.
Yeah, that's right. We look forward to continuing to work with you as we make sure that the county is as inclusive as possible on every front. So thank you so much for your work. Thanks, Robert, for the presentation. Sorry that it had to be virtual. So we'll look forward to continue to work through this.
Okay. All right.
Robert, do we get any blocks?
Oh.
Well, we got a little bit more to accomplish before I give out blocks.
Oh,
Yeah, I wasn't blocks. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get off then. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the last item on our agenda is an executive session. Before we close our regular session, though, I do want to just say two quick things. One is, and I assume you're wearing red because this was supposed to be, no offense to you, Victoria, this was supposed to be Red's opening day. It's a celebration in Cincinnati. It's like a holiday. So many of us are bemoaning the fact that we're not at the ballpark on a beautiful sunny day, which is not typical of opening day. This would have been awesome. Yeah, but sometimes it's snowing or raining. So the Findlay Market Parade had to be canceled and the game had to be canceled. Now, they are live streaming right now, or I shouldn't say live streaming, they're streaming the game from last year where they won, and there was a lot of excitement around that game, of course. And so it started at 1, so we're missing it. I apologize. But we can pick up this like this in the 6th inning or so. But anyway, just wanted to say thank you to the Reds for doing that. It's a very sobering time. People are really struggling. It's a lot of sacrifice going on in this community. But I will say that in a time like this, you do see the best and the worst. And I'm glad today we're seeing some of the best. So thank you to the Reds for doing that. Also, the state was in session yesterday, and they passed a plethora of things that are related to counties. And at some point, we can go through that. It's a lot. But one of them had to do with how we hold our meetings and how we conduct our meetings. And so in the past, prescribed by the ORC, we have not been able to have virtual meetings. We have had to be here in person to vote in order to do business. They just changed that. And so I wonder if by next week we will be going virtual. I don't want to commit to that because we do need to work out some of the technology, but we are trying to do our part when it comes to social distancing and being safe and respecting the public and also the employees here at the county. So you may see us look very different next week. We're having our meetings once a week at this point, so it'll be next Thursday at 1. But I do want to alert the public to that we might be having a virtual meeting come next week, just an FYI. So is there anything else for the good of the cause before we go into executive session?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
All right, very good. Then I'm going to move that we go into executive session pursuant to RC Section 121.22G4 to conduct or review negotiations or bargaining sessions concerning employee compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you.